for problem number 7, what you can do here is you need to come up with the factors. So the factor for x minus 1 is x plus 1. The factor for x equals 1 is x minus 1. The factor for 3 is x minus 3. And finally x plus 3. Now, when we multiply it, it's easiest to multiply these two together first because they have the exact same factor except for one's plus and one's minus, which means the middle terms are going to cancel out. So when I multiply them, I get x squared minus 1. Same thing happens over here when I multiply these two together, and I get x squared minus 9. Now when I distribute through these, I need to distribute all the way, so x squared times x squared is x to the 4th, minus 9x squared, minus 1x squared, plus 9. X to the 4th, minus 10x squared, plus 9. And that is our polynomial. In this next problem, we're trying to solve this so that we can get the m values that solve this equation. Now, what I normally suggest is that we use the quadratic formula, because the quadratic formula always works, where factoring sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Negative b is equal to negative 7. 2a is equal to 12, because 6 is a. And then for b squared minus 4ac, we get 7 squared minus 4 times 6 times negative 3, which is 121. So I'm going to put these in where they should go. So I got negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 121 divided by 12. Well, we know the square root of 121 is 11. So negative 7 plus 11 divided by 12 is equal to 4 over 12, or 1/3. And make sure that if you just put this in your calculator, you're going to put parentheses around the top, and negative 7 minus 11 turns out to be negative 3/2. So looking at these problems for problem number 9, where we're looking for the remainder theorem to tell us what is the answer for what are the factors for this, I'm going to put this in y1 and I'm going to go to the table. And when I go to the table, I'm going to look at 1, negative 1 for my x's, 2 and negative 2 for a, b, c, and d. And when I do this, for the y values, I got negative 6, negative 4, 8, and 0. And when doing the remainder theorem, if I'm looking for factors, I'm looking for where the y value is 0. And so my answer is going to be simply x plus 2 as a factor. For problem number 10, it says find the number of possible zeros for x cubed minus 7x minus 6. Well, if I'm looking for the number of possible zeros, the number of possible zeros is always the highest exponent. And so the answer here is 3. Alright. In class, I showed you how to do this using cross multiplication, and we came up with an extraneous answer. And this time I'm going to do this using common denominators. So in these problems, this one has a 3 and an m over here, and this problem has a 4 and an m. So this side is missing a 4, and this side over here is missing the 3. So when both sides have the same denominator, I don't have to worry about it anymore except for when I check my answer. So when I distribute the 4, I got 24m minus 32 equals 9m minus 9. I'm going to add 32 to both sides. I'm going to subtract 9m from both sides. And I get 15m equals 23. Divide both sides by 15, and my answer is 23 over 15. When I check this answer in the denominator, if I multiply it in here or multiply it in here, neither denominator will be equal to 0, so 23 over 15 is a good answer, and your only answer. In problem number 12, we got the square root of 50 plus 7x minus 8 equals x. So since there's a square root and x is underneath the square root and x is not underneath the square root, I'm going to do this basically using the calculator. And when I do this, I'm going to get one side equal to 0, and so that's why I subtracted x. So I am going to put this into y1, and I'm going to put y2 equals 0. And on my graph I see something that looks like this. Not a great picture, but it looks as though there are two answers, one right here and one right here. And so I'm going to find out where the intersections are. And so it's important to where I move my guess. For my first one, my guess was about here, and that gave me x equals -2. And then I did it again where I found the intersection, and I had to move my my guess over to here, and the answer gave me -7. And the graph will not give me extraneous answers, so my answer is -2 and -7, and that's it for the chapter 4 part of our review for the final.